Alright, today I want to take a couple minutes to do a couple of videos here regarding small guns and large guns, and I want to talk about the difference between the pluses and minuses of carrying a large gun and the pluses and minuses of carrying a small gun. Now when you're carrying a large gun, like say a Commander size 1911 or larger, or SIG P220, something like that, there are advantages and disadvantages. Now of course the advantages of a large gun are obvious. You have a larger caliber. You can have larger capacity. This is a 1911, so it's not a high capacity gun. But if I was to switch to my P229 Elite Stainless, that is a much higher capacity gun. Like you say, you're looking here at 13 rounds of ammunition without reloading. But the main advantages, like I say, are capacity, wieldability. They're usually easier to shoot. I mean, they're heavier, they absorb more recoil, they're just less abusive to shoot them, so they're usually easier to be more accurate with. So capacity, accuracy, ease of use, those are some real advantages of a larger gun. And those are the ones that people think of every time they think of a gun. Caliber size is the other one. A much more powerful bullet. You can get up to about as powerful as you can get in a handgun, 40, 45, 44 Magnum. You just get a lot more power out of a gun like this because it's just not a smaller caliber, it's just a bigger caliber. That's just the way it is. But one of the things a lot of people don't think about as far as an advantage of the larger gun that I always think of as a big factor is the intimidation factor. Now people don't want to talk about intimidation factor too often because they think it's not an issue, but it is. And sometimes people confuse intimidation with brandishing. Well, brandishing, you have to be using your weapon to intimidate someone. You have to be the aggressor in the act. Now if someone's attacking you and you use your weapon to intimidate them to back off, that's not brandishing. So intimidation is a big factor with a larger gun, and not just because it's a larger caliber, but because when you pull it out, they see this and they can tell that's a gun. You know, it's really easy to tell this is a gun. There's no mistaking it for something else. You point this at them, they're like, well, that guy just pulled a gun, and they either crap their pants, run, or they decide to take their chances. So that is a great big plus for larger guns. The fact that they're easily recognizable as a gun. So you have capacity, you have caliber, you have accuracy and wieldability. That's probably not a word, but I usually use it. I use it a lot. And then you have the recognition factor, that it is indeed a gun. Now, of course, when you get into the negatives, that's pretty easy to see too. They're harder to carry, they're harder to conceal, they're heavy, they will cause more fatigue on you throughout the day. Now, a good belt and a good holster can really reduce a lot of those issues, but still, you can't overcome the physics of the fact that it's a bigger, heavier gun. You are going to be carrying more weight on you all day, and you are going to have to conceal something larger. Those are about the only negatives of a large gun, just how hard they are to conceal and how heavy they are to carry. Now you can get guns a lot lighter than this one, but you can't get big guns that are as small and as light as little guns. So when you choose to carry a bigger gun, you have all those positives, but you do have some negatives also. Now, if anyone else can think of any positive or negatives they'd like to add, feel free to add in the comments. But to me, those are the big positives and the big negatives. The negatives are few. The negatives are just how difficult they are to carry. That's about it. How difficult they are to conceal. But you have so many positives. So in the end, when you add up the pluses and minuses of a large carry gun, I usually myself, just personal preference, it doesn't add up to much of a positive for me because I don't really feel I'm going to need this huge of a caliber. I mean, the 40 caliber and lower is going to probably do me in most self-defense situations. I don't want to have to lug around a big heavy gun all day. I'm one of these people that I don't want to dress around my gun. I don't want to have to alter my lifestyle in any way to carry. So a big gun like this, if this is my only option, I would probably leave it at home a lot. So smaller guns give me more of an option for carrying every day. Now that's not to say I don't appreciate my large guns, because I do. I love them at the range, I love them when I'm camping, I love them when I'm hiking. I love them in situations where I don't have to worry about concealment. But for everyday carry, the pluses and minuses of big guns just kind of add up to a negative for me. They don't give me enough to overcome the negatives. Now other people are completely different on that, and I could never argue with them about that fact, because I can't tell someone you're wrong for wanting a big caliber, high capacity, whatever. I can tell you that statistically you may not need it, but well, who am I to tell you that that's not a good idea to have it? Because the first time I tell you that, something's going to happen where you could have had it, and I'm going to look like an idiot. So I'm never going to tell anyone that it's a bad idea to carry a larger capacity gun with a higher caliber. It's just something that when I weigh the differences, doesn't seem all that necessary to me.